If you're a hockey player and you don't train your tibialis, you are missing out. Now, I know I'm not like bouncing around with different like plyo jumps that you would see like a bunch of these other programs doing. Why am I training this? I am training the muscle that is strongest in deceleration. I am training the muscle that is active whenever you plant into the ground to stop yourself. I am training the muscle that is active when you skate, because you need dorsiflexion to get heel pressure into the ice, which then allows you to skate faster with knee over toe. This is going to help out your skating, maybe more than different plyo jumps and stuff like that. You also see this as ankle flexion if you were to look at triple flexion, which is looked at way less in triple extension. And triple extension is looked at a lot in hockey versus triple flexion, even though you're inside of triple flexion more than triple extension. And if you cheat one side versus the other, you're actually more liable to get injured, and you prevent yourself from performing like you could. Last point, we get this thing called lace bite because our feet are stuck in these super stiff objects that don't move. This gets blood flow to that area, which is what you need when you get something like lace bite. Lace bite is not an equipment problem, it is a foot strength problem. Do not all hockey players have the biggest tibialises? No, they don't. But that doesn't mean that if you're not a high-level hockey player and you want to be a high-level hockey player, that you should still train this, because you definitely should. Now we're going to do a little long-form discussion around this. So yeah, I know it's not a fancy like jump around exercise, but as soon as I started to train this, I know for sure that whatever pain or lace bite that I was dealing with slowly went away, and my foot health also increased. And I will say that when I am off the ice as well, and many coaches who don't understand this stuff have taken me through different plyos and like ways of, let's say, like landing on my feet or like coming to a stop as well. All of those have felt better when I've gotten better and stronger on this exercise. So the way that I currently have this in how I train it is that I do the double leg once a week for 5 sets of 20 in 5 minutes. So I bang out my 20 and then rest the remainder of the minute, then go for another set of 20, then rest the remainder of that minute, all within 5 minutes. So I'm getting a lot of density in a short amount of time. I'm getting a lot of reps in a short amount of time. So that would be at this pace, kind of. I have played around with 10 sets of 10 in 10 minutes. I think the 5-minute formula for where I'm at will work a lot better, just because I'm now at a job. I need to train my clients. I want to build some other things behind the scenes. So this just gives me a little more time so that I'm not, let's just say, I don't want to say wasting it, because I don't think that was the case when I was doing it. Just putting it to something else that I've committed to. Yeah, I'm putting it to something else that I've committed to. Which there's more and more things that I'm committing to as I've like to come along. Anyway, so that's how I trained that, and I might as well explain the dense style as well as soon as I go into this. The single leg one, as soon as I get it all attached here, I don't do this one nearly as often. If I do, it's more of like how my body is feeling. But I will say, like, when I started doing this dense formula with the double leg tib bar about, let's say, 3 months ago to this point, was when I first did my first 10 sets of 10. My tibialis has actually started to show up a lot more, like a lot more visibly, getting a lot more hypertrophy with something like that. Now, that's not the same thing as strength, and I understand that. But I wanted to follow up on what Ben Patrick has always preached and saying that chicks dig big tibs. So now I have big tibs, and now I'll finally be attracted to people who think that that's attractive, even though there's no studies on it to actually confirm that. either way, I have some of the strongest dorsiflexion in this LA Fitness that I work at as well. And I'm looking to popularize an exercise like this, not just for the people here, but for hockey players as well, because we can go into the detail again. You need heel pressure in order to move forward when your knee is over your toe with your heel down. Just like you see on a Patrick step, just like you have when you go to like skate, or even when you're like squatting down like that, keeping your heels on the ground. All that happens and needs a little bit of that dorsiflexion range. And this helps open you up. It's not the only way. Not the only way to open up. I know of some other dorsiflexion exercises, like you'll get a weight right here and then you can get the heel down a little bit more. I like that actually, and I've played around with that a little bit, but it's not the same thing as this. It's more, I treat those as stretches and accessories that I don't have as much reps in less time that I do with a regular tib bar or even an isotib. With this, actually, I like to do those ankle rolls as well. I should have mentioned that, but yeah, this exercise is not one of the big two that you see out of hockey. So the big two is the HEG split squat and the seated good morning. Those are your better predictors for hockey. And if you actually put those two exercises together, you get a skating stride. This is a terrific accessory, though, because you're not going to do only those two exercises. You're going to do some other stuff as well. This is a terrific exercise to go along with, let's say you have 2 leg days. You can have this on one of your 2 leg days, and then you can have some calf work, either soleus or gastro, other language in there. But that's all perfect for training a muscle that has no studies on it. Why would you train a muscle that has no studies on it? Well, like I said, it's a predictor. The stronger this is in elderly people, the less likely they are to end up with being in walkers. And you can just do a little test on them. It doesn't have to be like a massive little page-by-page study, although that would help so that you don't have to do it yourself. For a muscle that doesn't have any studies on it, unfortunately, that's going to have to be the case, that you'll have to do that own experimentation. I've noticed for myself that when I get people and clients onto an exercise like this, that the stronger this muscle is, the healthier they're able to walk. And I've only been training people for about a month as well. So maybe there's something to it. It is a claim. I would reference Ben Patrick. He's a Ratos guy, and everyone in ATG more than what I could provide or any studies that I could come up with first. So yeah, train your tibs if you're a hockey player. That's all the why. It does help with getting deeper squats as well, because it helps out with your dorsiflexion. Dorsiflexion occurs in a squat. Now, I mentioned in my short that, although briefly and stumbly, that you need triple flexion in addition to triple extension, and that this trains triple flexion. So we can see that dorsiflexion is ankle flexion. Boom, right there. The tension is right up here versus down here, it's looser. Right here is ankle extension. Although the tension is not, like I'm not working any muscle. If I was doing a calf extension, you'll notice that, or a calf raise, you'll notice that this would be the end range part of the calf raise. Whereas this, there's no tension right here, and now there's tension up here. So the cool thing about something like triple flexion and triple extension is that you can't cheat one side and expect to get better performance or like injury prevention too. So Ratos guy references a study that was done on 13 to 15-year-olds They were basketball players. One half of that group only ran forwards for about 6 weeks. Then the other group only ran backwards for about 6 weeks. Guess who was faster after those 6 weeks? The people who ran backwards. Why was that? Because you can't cheat one side in life and expect to go faster or perform better. It's not just a Chinese proverb. 100 steps backwards is 1,000 steps forwards. It's like, it's not just a proverb. Like, it actually scientifically works. And I've noticed for myself, if I were to measure my vertical jump, actually be a lot higher than when I first measured it. I would say I didn't even crack 20 because I couldn't touch a basketball net. Now I'm like that little bit close from a basketball rim, even though just the fingertips. I haven't jumped in my life until testing that out, but doing an exercise like this, because I'm giving myself the capacity to close, gives me the capacity to open. I referenced that from Cadorziani. You need the capacity to close down, so that you can open up a lot more, which is why knees over toes works better. And if you want knees over toes, this is an entrance point into that. If you want triple flexion, there's an entrance point to that. And besides, you're in triple flexion more than you're in triple extension in hockey. Otherwise, why would they always be in like a wide stance like that? So there's a lot that we in the hockey community don't understand about all this exercise. And look, it's new stuff as well. I don't see many of the top players working on this. That doesn't mean that you should not work on it. Because again, it's a predictor of better performance when you strengthen your triple flexion, which you're actually in more often than not. So I guess I'll make another two parts of triple flexion, because I've covered the ankle flexion, and that would mean that there's knee flexion, and that would mean that there's hip flexion. Those are, I think, way more important than triple extension in hockey. Even though you do see it a little bit, there's a debate to whether it's a 2+1 triple extension or just a full-on triple extension. I think it's 2+1 just because of the difference in surface and also the difference in equipment as well. But my hope is that bringing on an exercise like this will uncover more secrets that are covered by all of our hockey players that just wear equipment constantly and are on a different surface. Yeah, so I encourage whoever sees this to test out this exercise. You're likely not going to have that bar or maybe a floss band to do a dumbbell. So definitely use that wall version. Get up to 25 and tell me if you're burning afterwards, because you're probably going to be burning afterwards because you've never worked on this the way that this shows. So try it out. Train your damn tibs. Get better at hockey that way.